There is a technology so ancient, so completely free, and so ruthlessly sidelined that a $60 billion industry was built specifically to replace it with something you have to buy again every single year. It fits in the palm of your hand. It weighs less than a paperclip. It requires no electricity, no refrigeration, no subscription. Store it correctly, and it remains viable for 10, 20, sometimes 50 years. Place it in soil, add water, and it produces food. Continuously, indefinitely. In 1943, this technology fed 40% of all vegetables consumed in the United States. The government didn't just allow it, they campaigned for it. Families grew their own food, saved what they produced, and replanted the following season, year after year, with zero recurring cost. By 1949, that behavior had nearly vanished from mainstream American life, not because it was outlawed, not because it stopped working, because a system was built, piece by piece, decade by decade, that made buying easier than growing, and made purchasing seeds easier than saving them. The global commercial seed market generates over $60 billion annually. 4 corporations now control the majority of the world's commercial seed supply. They didn't need to pass a law to change your behavior. They just needed to make the alternative invisible. Today, we open the file on heirloom seeds, what they are, why they were replaced, and why the families who never stopped saving them were right all along. If this knowledge matters to you, the best way to preserve it is subscribe. Hit the bell and share this vault. The vault is open. Let us begin. Number 1. There is a critical difference between a hybrid seed and an heirloom seed, and the industry has spent decades making sure you never learn it. When you buy a packet of commercial F1 hybrid tomato seeds at any garden center in America, you are buying the product of a controlled cross between 2 parent plants. That cross produces a first-generation offspring, uniform, vigorous, highly productive. This is real science. It works. Here is what the seed catalog does not tell. You, in large print, save the seeds from that plant, dry them, replant them next season. What you get is not a copy of the plant you grew. You get a genetic lottery. Second-generation hybrid plants, called F2s, split according to basic Mendelian genetics into a chaotic mix of traits. Some plants will be small, some unproductive. Some will revert toward one of the original parent varieties. Almost none will match what you harvested the year before. The hybrid seed was not engineered to die. It was engineered to disappoint the second time around. Your great-grandparents would have understood this intuitively. They saved seeds from their best plants, replanted them, and the offspring matched the parent because the seeds were stable, open-pollinated, bred over generations for consistency. We were not taught to make this distinction. We were simply handed a new system and told it was better. Number 2. The math is brutal. A single packet of commercial hybrid tomato seeds costs between $4 and $6, approximately 25 seeds. You grow them, harvest them, and then you start over. Because next year's seeds from those plants won't perform. Next year, you buy again, over 20 years, $120 minimum on one vegetable from one company. Now run the same math on a single heirloom seed packet. $3 to $5. You plant it, you harvest. You save 50 seeds from your best fruit. You replant next year, and the year after, and the year after that. The genetics are stable. The offspring match the parent. You are not playing a lottery. One purchase. Decades of harvests. Let that number land. Number 3. The disappearance of seed. Saving from American life was not a conspiracy. It was capitalism doing exactly what capitalism does. In 1943, Victory Gardens, backyard and community plots growing, food from open-pollinated, saved seed, produced approximately 40% of all vegetables consumed in America. 40% from ordinary citizens in backyards, rooftops, empty lots, school grounds, and public parks. The government promoted it as a wartime necessity. The USDA published guides. Eleanor Roosevelt planted one on the White House lawn. After 1945, the war ended. Rationing ended. The post-war economic boom arrived. Supermarkets expanded. Refrigeration improved. Packaged food became cheap, convenient, and culturally desirable. The American public did not have the Victory Garden program taken from them. They largely chose the alternative because the alternative was easier. Read that again. The shift from growing to buying was not forced. It was sold. Convenience was the product, and once buying became the default, the infrastructure for seed saving, the knowledge, the community networks, the regional varieties quietly eroded. Not by decree, by disuse. Understanding this matters, because it means the knowledge was not destroyed. It was set down, and it can be picked back up. Number 4. The legal. War on seed saving is real, documented and ongoing. But the target is not heirloom seeds. Let's be precise about this. Saving heirloom seeds, open-pollinated, non-patented varieties, has never been illegal in the United States. You can save them, trade them, give them away, and sell them with minimal restriction. That freedom still exists. What changed is this. By the early 2000s, patented GMO seed varieties had become dominant in commodity crops. Corn, soybeans, cotton, canola. Farmers who signed licensing agreements with companies like Monsanto agreed contractually not to save seed. Violating that contract meant lawsuits, and Monsanto enforced aggressively. Between 1997 and 2010, Monsanto filed suit against 145 American farmers and settled with over 700 more. Farmers like Roger Nelson of North Dakota, Gary Reinhardt of Missouri. The details of individual cases vary. Some farmers had inadvertent contamination. Others clearly violated their contracts. The legal record is complicated, but the broader pattern is not complicated. A system was built in which the world's most important commodity, crop, the one feeding billions of people, became something farmers were legally prohibited from replicating without a corporate license. That is a structural shift in who controls the food supply, and it happened within a single generation. Let that number land. Number 5. The varieties that survived did so because specific people chose to carry them. The Cherokee Trail of Tears bean, carried during the forced march of 1838. Thousands of people died. The seeds survived because someone, in conditions of extreme suffering, understood what those seeds represented and kept them. The mortgage lifter tomato. Developed in the 1930s by M.C. Radiator Charlie Bowers, a mechanic with no formal agricultural training. Crossbred over 6 years, sold plants for $1 each. paid off a $6,000 mortgage, still being grown today. The German Johnson tomato, traced to the 1800s, still producing, still viable. These varieties were not preserved by institutions. They were preserved by families, passed in envelopes, tucked into recipe boxes, written on masking tape on mason jars in basements. They survived because individuals made a decision, season after season, to save instead of discard. Number 6. The nutrition argument is real, and it points in a consistent direction. A 2004 study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition analyzed USDA nutritional data for 43 fruits and vegetables, comparing 1950 values to 1999. It found statistically significant declines in protein, calcium, phosphorus, iron, riboflavin, and vitamin C across multiple vegetables. Over that 50-year period, the researchers identified dilution effect as the likely cause. Modern varieties bred for yield. Size and shelf life accumulate dry matter faster than they accumulate nutrients. They grow bigger, they grow faster, they contain less per gram. The heirloom varieties selected by generations of families who ate them were not optimized for a truck journey or a fluorescent display case. They were optimized for a dinner table. Number 7. The infrastructure to recover this knowledge still exists. Barely. The Seed Savers Exchange, founded in 1975 in Decorah, Iowa, maintains over 20,000 rare and heirloom seed varieties contributed by ordinary Americans. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway holds over 1.3 million seed samples, a permafrost backup of human agricultural history. These institutions exist because a small number of people understood what was being quietly lost. Your great-grandparents did not need a seed vault. They were the seed vault. Now here's where I need to be straight with you. Because hype without honesty is just advertising. Heirloom seeds are not a simple solution with no trade-offs. 2 real challenges. First, cross-pollination and isolation. If you grow multiple varieties of the same vegetable in close proximity, 2 types of tomato, 2 types of squash, they can cross-pollinate. Seeds saved from a crossed plant will not grow true to either parent. Managing this requires physical separation between varieties, or hand pollination. It is a learnable skill, but it requires attention. Second, regional adaptation takes time. A variety developed in Georgia may underperform in Minnesota in its first season. Seeds that have been grown in your specific soil, your specific microclimate, over multiple seasons, outperform seeds from a distant climate. Expect a learning curve. Expect the first 2 seasons to teach you something. That is not failure. That is how every farmer in history operated. Here is your action plan. Step 1. Start with 3 beginner-friendly heirloom varieties: mortgage lifter tomato, dragon tongue bean, and black-seeded Simpson lettuce. All 3 are regionally adaptable across most of the U.S. and highly forgiving for first-time seed savers. Step 2. Source from Seed Savers Exchange, Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, or Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. Total first-year cost, under $15. Step 3. At harvest, select your best-performing, fully ripe fruit, ripened past the point you would eat it. Extract seeds, rinse, spread them in a single layer on a ceramic plate or wax paper, never paper towel, which bonds permanently to wet tomato seeds as it dries. Leave them for 2 full weeks in a dry location away from direct sunlight. Once fully dry, store in a sealed paper envelope in a cool, dark place. Step 4. Label, variety, date, location grown. Step 5. Replant next year. From what you saved, for free, indefinitely. That is the entire system. No ongoing cost, no expiration date. I want to address something directly before this file closes. This video will not be pushed by the algorithm. Content about food independence and agricultural history does not surface in recommendation feeds designed to drive consumption. If you found this, it was through a search, a share, or someone who thought you needed to see it. There are families in America right now sitting on seed collections that have been in their bloodlines for 100 years. Old mason jars in basements, envelopes inside recipe boxes. Seeds there. Grandmothers dried on a windowsill and pressed into a folded paper towel. They don't know what they have. They don't know that what's inside that jar is more permanent, more self-sufficient, and more structurally independent than anything in a commercial seed catalog. The knowledge was not destroyed. It was set down. This vault exists to help people pick it back up. The shift away from seed saving was not the result of one villain making one decision. It was the cumulative result of convenience winning, decade by decade, over continuity. Understanding that honestly is more powerful than a simpler story, because a simpler story is easy to dismiss. The real story, the one where a food system was quietly replaced by something that required you to keep paying, that one is harder to look away from. If this video was useful to you, subscribe, hit the bell, share it with one person who grows food, wants to grow food, or has ever felt that something in the grocery aisle was structurally wrong. Every share seeds what they wanted, buried. The next file opens soon.